Good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday evening for the Alfa Romeo Owners Club Esports League and the next round 19 at Germany. So we have quite a good track set up for you this evening. We have the Green Hell. Currently, everyone's out on qualifying, so qualifying's been extended slightly for everyone to get around the circuit, as they're using the full circuit layout for this evening. So we have a 45-minute qualifying session and then an hour endurance race in the 8C GT3s. So, without further ado, we shall get to qualifying at the moment. Everyone is well into their laps as we speak. So, currently with 37 minutes to go, so there's no lap times as of yet, as I believe that everyone may still actually be on their outlaps potentially, but we may start to see some times appearing at any moment. As I said, using the full Nordschleife layout this evening for the endurance race. As we watch Andrew Whitehead currently on his lap at the moment. I get lost at the Nürburgring at the best of times, but trying to do it from a third person view is going to be rather tricky. So if you recognise any of the corners, I'm sure I'll shout them out. As we see Andrew head down the main straight. To see if we can get time on the board. Goes to the right hand side, as you can see, to get the best line. It is at this point that he comes off of the Green Hell loop and down the start finish straight. Like the beginning of the time to fall lap. Very good looking cars to watch around the circuit. Guys, Swarbrick there in the Halfords livery car. Big Young being chased down by someone qualifying. Not sure who's behind him. There seems to be someone behind him. .514 brake horsepower cars that they have to contend with down the very narrow, practically street circuit of the Nürburgring. 514 brake horsepower, 485 Newton meters of torque in a chassis just over 1,200 kilograms. So I'm sure, if not treated correctly, the beasts can fight back, as we see the first times appear on the board set by John Billingsley. Currently setting a 9 minutes, just over 9 minute lap. Obviously have time to wait and improve on that. So the setouts of the cars are being finalised, locked. amount of fuel they can take on, I believe, is being limited as well. So potentially fuel conservation, seeing at what point people will need to go for their pit stops, could play a factor into the overall layout of the race. It's unlikely that it will be a one-stop strategy for everyone. We see Greg Young now the second person to set a lap time on the board, going 7 seconds quicker than John Billingsley, in the top spot on the podium. And it looks like Matt Daly's possibly going to be the next person to get across the start-finish line, but not necessarily in a podium position with that error off the circuit. With the way that it's set up, I believe we have the damage set to off, so incidents like that will not affect the vehicles, so we should be able to get everyone to the end of the race if such an incident would happen. Such a long circuit that as soon as you one clip of the barrier could be a race ruiner. So it's a decision that's been made by powers that be to run with damage off. Matt Daly now takes down to the long straight to finish his lap. The car's at this point reaching approximately 280 or so kilometers an hour. As we see him now take to the GP part of the circuit. So I think with that slight error running off the road, it looks like that the lap has been discounted, unfortunately. Go again. Proving potentially a bit tricky for people to actually set times on the board. Greg Young on another flying lap. But Tim Perry unfortunately has a slight excursion off the road, so that will cost him his time as well. But who do we have? Alan Matthews now looking to set a time on the board. But unfortunately that one was discounted as well. Have to try again. Andrew White as well, yet to set a time. So only 2 out of the 14 runners we have this evening able to reliably set a time on the board. Colin Kniff there. Oh, the quick driver. He'll manage to make it round. So at the moment with A third of the qualifying session done and dusted. Greg Young currently in pole position and looks to be a bit slower than his original time, perhaps. Unless everyone can begin to set their times. Get top position as we see Tim Perry cross the start finish line, but unfortunately that time has again been discounted by the looks of it. So he will have to go again. As we run through the list, looks like Andrew Whitehead just about to finish another lap down the main straight of the circuit. Swarbrick taking the slightly wider line through the corkscrew there. So as we watch the end of Andrew's lap, opting to take to pit road, occasionally obviously knowing that the lap wasn't going to count, so it's taken to pit road to make some potentially some adjustments that he can make as Paul Plant takes to the mini corkscrew. So with the ballast has also been decided as it is for every round for this one. So at the moment on the table, Andrew Whitehead actually carrying the largest amount of ballast. As we has seen, it does have quite a big effect on people's performance, the way the car handles. It can shake up the order quite significantly. So Andrew Whitehead currently on the most balance, half of that being or a lot of that being success balance as well. And then Matt Daly and Colin Kniff. Matt Daly being the one of the pro drivers. Yeah, Matt Daly being one of the pro drivers, and then it is Colin Kniff with 130k of ballast. As we see Paul Plant cross the start finish line, puts in a very quick lap, managing to get the car around the circuit in a very good reliable time of 8.5 minutes to take qualifying top spot in qualifying. Warbrick going to the end of the long straight, but looks like Colin Knief behind him as well. Looks like a little way off. Like Smith making it round. See if Guy Swarbrick has managed to put a time on the board. He has indeed, and takes breaking the 9-minute barrier and takes the 4th spot on the podium, on the 4th spot in the order rather. Colin Kniff putting in a very quick time there, going nearly going 6 seconds, just over 6 seconds quicker than Paul Plant, after a few laps that were not counted due to, I suspect, errors. Puts in a very good time now to the front of the grid. Can anyone get that position off him? There's some very reliable driving needed from the rest of the grid now to sort out the order. Nick Wiggins looks like he may be the next person to get across, finish straight. Yep. In sixth, but unfortunately has not been able to put in a clean lap, so is not able to get on the board at the moment. So it looks like a few of them seem to be struggling with. It only takes one corner. Alex Smith putting in a good time to get to sixth. But we have seen better pace from Alex. So he should... I think he'll be hoping to get a quicker time than that. It only takes one corner, one stray wheel over the curb, and you've lost 6, 7, 8 minutes worth of work. So we see Matt Daly now putting in just over 8.5 minute time to get up to third. Top spot as we look to see Port. That's the sort of thing that catches you out. Things like very high curves around here, and he's obviously taking a spin coming out of one of the corners there. So that lap will now be discounted from Paul. Looks like it'll take him a few corners just to get back into the rhythm of it again. So Colin Kniff currently in top spot of the grid. He's just going around Guy Swarbrick at the moment on hot lap, because we see Alex Smith now coming to the end of the GP circuit, and we'll take the left-hander onto the main Nordschleife course, an endurance track. Alan Matthews on the other side of the barrier is coming across start finish straight, but yet again, unfortunately, something costing him that time. Just a little error somewhere that's stopping him from putting a time on the board. With 20 minutes left, they won't have many more opportunities to get their times in. So maximum concentration will be needed now to make sure the cars get round in a clean lap. Bailey's currently taken to the pits by the looks of it. Alex Smith has just had his time discounted, and he's in the pits now as well. We currently have Bob Whitney, and I think that's Andrew Bremer. That's coming down the start finish straight. Both still need to set times. Last couple of corners to negotiate before the start finish straight on GP track. Is he able to set a time? He is, and takes 8th place. Quite considerably further behind Colin Kniff, nearly a minute behind on his lap time, but has able to set a time. And unfortunately, it looks like Andrew Bremer wasn't able to set a clean lap, so his time has not been counted as of yet. Stephen Knight, unfortunately, is taken to the side of the circuit, so again, his lap will be counted. Andrew Whitehead currently leading the 2020 Super Series overall. We'll want to definitely put in a good time to get to the front of the starting order. car over as far as he can to get a best line he can. So he's obviously confident this is a good time. Last chicane to negotiate before he's home and safe. What time has he managed to set? Unfortunately, it was discounted as well. Looked like he was on a flyer at that point, but not able to set a time as of yet. He will get another chance, but the lives are counting down to be able to get a time. So we currently have for the order Colin Kniff in first place on the grid. Currently on another good hot lap by the looks of it. 6 seconds behind his portal plant in second on the first and second place on the grid of the first row. Got there in the end. On the second row currently is Matt Daly and John Billingsley. So there's been a change there. I wasn't actually aware of that. Looks like John Billingsley's just, despite going quicker, isn't able to improve on his position. Guys Swarbrick currently in 6th on the grid. Alex Smith in 7th, Rob Whitney in 8th, and those are the last. Rob Whitney's the last one to actually set a time. After that, everyone is at the moment not actually put a lap time in. Tim Perry just coming across the start finish line, but again, his lap isn't counted. So we have, as we see, just Luke Wiggins just lose the back end of the car and go colliding into the barriers. So the car will not be damaged, but that lap will be discounted for that contact with the barriers. It's just little things like that. You apply the power a bit too vigorously, the car spins around and you've lost, again, quite a bit of work. So he will have to go again with just over 16 minutes left on the clock to do so. So without any damage sustained, he'll carry on, and it's better at this point to start another lap rather than retire to the pits and do another out lap and then a timed lap. The car will still be all nice and warmed up for another attack at it. Daly trying to improve on his position, but again has he's also had an issue and is pointing the wrong way at the circuit at the time being. Let's hope he's not in the way of anyone that needs to set a time. Doesn't look like he is, but there are engines coming as I think Matt Daly's trying to move out of the way as much as he can. As just manages to get the car going again, as I believe that was Alex Smith that managed to pass him, but Alex is safe. He has set a time and is currently in 7th. Luke Wiggins looks like he is at the mini carousel at the moment, so is in, I believe, the final sector of the lap. Stephen Knight, unfortunately, has spun the car also. Watch out for Andrew Whitehead passing him. There we go, lets him pass and is able to continue. Like he has hurt someone else chasing down his tail. Luke Wiggins now taken to the straight. Andrew Brammer getting around as quickly and reliably as he can. Andrew Whitehead take to the mid portion of the track. Very well to keep out of the barriers. trying to set a good, reliable lap time to set his place on the grid. Everyone will still start the race, but where they are potentially may be set by where they eventually finish when the clock, or where they are on the circuit when the clock comes down to 0. Potentially. Too sure what happens if someone's not able to actually set a time. Luke Wiggins currently on the GP part of the circuit. So let's ride on board with Andrew Whitehead for the remainder. As he's currently at the corkscrew taking, that's interesting, taking the inside line on the slightly bumpier curb zones of the corkscrew. You know, it seems to depend on, I guess, driver discretion, whether you take the inside line or the smoother, slightly slower outside line of the corkscrew itself. I think in real life with cars that are this low, carbon fibre on the trays, the cars depend very much on, you know, working aero. You wouldn't necessarily want to be launching it over potentially the quite harsh stones of the corkscrew, but there we are. But they launch them over curves and things all the time, so yes. With just over 11 minutes of qualifying session remaining, we still have a fair amount of drivers that still need to set a lap time. Andrew Whitehead being one of them. At the moment, nothing is particularly apparent as to what could be catching him out. He's just gone around the mini corkscrew section of the track, so in the final sector of the lap time now. Just heading down the start-finish straight now. Andrew Brammer able to set a time by the looks of it now, but is currently taken to a road for the moment. So just a final set of chicanes to negotiate for taking another lap. This potentially could be, has he set a time? He is able to set a time and bumps him straight up into second place on the grid. So on the front row. And it looks like overrunning the first corner, so it looks like this lap's up. If he gets around quick enough, he may potentially have another lap to complete after that. But what a drive from Andrew Whitehead, putting it down to the wire, arguably, with a mere 9 minutes to go on the clock, is now able to set a time to put him on the front row of the grid. So it doesn't look like he's having too much trouble with the ballast he's got, but whatever issues were causing him not to set a lap time any sooner, he's now able to do it and put himself in a good place right behind Colin Kniff. 3.6 seconds behind Colin Kniff, to be exact. So that'll be very interesting to see, and that could actually work in his favor depending on the run down to the first corner. That could put him on the inside and play into his favor, but we shall see how that plays out. So who do we have left that needs to set a time? So the order for the moment, just over 8 minutes to go. Colin Kniff in first, Andrew Whitehead in second, knocking out the front row. And it looks like Andrew is just pulled aside and will retire to the pits by the looks of it, which will be the end of. So he will not be able to complete a outlap and then a timed lap after that. So it feels, I think he feels like he has done enough to secure that position. As we see Colin Kniff trying to keep heat into the tyres on the start-finish straight. So again, looks like he has also done enough to secure his position on the grid. Paul Plant in third place. Looking like he's on quite a flyer of a hot lap. So we've had a couple of people. So Rob Whitney and Andrew Brammer have disconnected from the servers, I believe, but they will still participate in the race as far as I'm aware. So they have they're happy with their times. They have set times at the moment. They're currently in 10th and 11th. So the three people that still need to set a time currently is Luke Wiggins, Steve Knight, and Alan Matthews. Alan Matthews is a little bit of a surprise that he's not able to get that sorted as of yet, as he has been, you know, he is in the top half of the battles, so he's a very capable driver, but at the moment is struggling severely with either the car or the track or a combination of the two. He's not actually able to set a clean lap as of yet. Luke Wiggins we haven't seen much of over the rounds so far. So currently in first and locking out the front row are the top two drivers overall for the 2020 Super Series. Battling it out for the grand prize of championship. Looks like Andrew White has just fallen behind and Matthews just following him round. Hopefully leaving him to, or leaving, hopefully Andrew White will leave Alan to his lap. Like Luke Wiggins just taking to, just getting past the start finish straight now. So this will be Luke's last attempt to set a time on the board for qualifying. He's not able to do so as of yet. Hopefully he can get round reliably enough to set a time. Steve Knight currently in the pits at the moment. So the remaining two drivers to set a time out on track. As it is, we have Alan Matthews and Luke Wiggins. Excuse me, Luke Wiggins currently on GP part of the circuit, so still has that and entirety of the endurance track to complete. Alan Matthews, I think, is coming to the end or to the final sector of the circuit. So last final corners until the long straightaway of the Nürburgring. He says not expecting there to be that many corners left. Told you I'd get lost on the circuit. Again, just taken to the mini carousel. Oh dear, it looks like Luke... that's a shame. Luke Wiggins, unfortunately, having made an error, is just slipped off the circuit, and it flashed red to denote that his time has been discounted. So he will start very, very far down the order with just 1 minute left. And Matthews actually might be able to start another lap if he can get through, or will be able to start another lap where, after negotiating the final chicane, if he's not actually able to set a time as of yet. Running slightly wide there. Not able to get through, hopefully without making any contact. So I see Andrew Whitehead now take to pit road. There we are. Gets round reliably and sets a 8 minutes 49 seconds and jumps up to 8th on the grid. Well done to him for getting around the end with 22 seconds remaining. Luke Wiggins is taken to pit road. So we have our grid decided. Colin Kniff currently going round, but has done enough to secure the first place on the grid. Andrew Whitehead in second, locking out the front row. Paul Plant in third, Matt Daly in fourth, John Billingsley in fifth, Tim Perry in sixth, Greg Young in seventh, Alan Matthews now in eighth on the grid, Alex Smith in ninth, Guy Swarbrick in 10th, Rob Whitney in 11th, Andrew Brammer in 12th. Luke Wiggins will take 13th. And forgive me, I forgot the name, but there was one more person that dropped out prematurely that will take the back of the grid. So people still on flying laps at the moment, trying to improve on their times. As we are in overtime on the track. for waiting during that short intermission period there. Looks like the qualifying server is now completed and the race server is up, now loading in at the moment. So we shall join them. Great. We have just about ready with 3 minutes left until the beginning of the hour endurance. So, currently have so it'd be tricky to get the right camera angle, but we currently have in on the front row Paul Plant, and Andrew Whitehead. The order that I wanted, so we can't run through them, but they are all lined up and ready to go. It's just about 2 minutes left until start of the race. A few of them looks like we're potentially struggling with the pace for such a large circuit. You know, nearly 8.5 minutes a lap, or slightly less than that for the faster times. So concentration per hour is going to be paramount. Well, as of course, when you take your mandatory pit stop. One minute left to go. We have riders on circuit. Now that's interesting. Why some of them are set up quite as far back as they are, potentially a penalty system for not having set a time. But they are still in the race, and it can all change as soon as the first lap. So, about ready to go. Six lights on the gantry. And the lights go out and away they go. It's like Paul Plant got away a good start. Better start than Andrew Whitehead on the outside of the circuit as they come down to the first corner. But Andrew's on the inside. Paul looking to get round the two in front. Andrew and Colin battle away, and Andrew's managed to get in front of him on the first corner. Everyone at the moment's just forcing themselves into single file. Andrew Brammer looks like he may have lost out, possibly got turned around, but he's managed to get round the lap. Colin Caniff kind of trying to come back at Andrew Whitehead on the GP part of the circuit. Paul Plant very eager to get round them both. Trying to get round the outside of Colin's car. Not able to do so as of yet. Paul Plant running considerably less ballast than the rest of them. Looks like there's a change in the middle as Paul Plant actually loses out to John Billingsley and is now back. Paul's now back into fourth place. So not a great start for Paul there, but he'll be trying his hardest to get back up as they just nudge each other down the straight. Paul's got the inside line as they come to the end of the GP circuit. At the transition onto the main endurance loop. Switches down to the other side. Cuts him off at the chicane there, but gets turned around by John Billingsley. There was contact at the back just as they were exiting the chicane there. The Paul Plant getting turned around, unfortunately getting collected by another car as well. Rob Whitney unfortunately making contact with Paul Plant, so that's a very, very bad start for Paul's race, as he looked like he had the maneuver done and dusted as they transferred onto the main green hell of the circuit, and Paul Plant cars round again just as he begins the main part of the circuit. So such a shame that that's happened to Paul. Looks like he could have, if he can catch up to the front rows, very quick drivers. We'll see how far he can get up the order again, but very, very big shame that that's happened to him at the end of the GP portion of the track there on the very first lap of the race. Looks like Paul Plant again has unfortunately ended up with possibly his flow interrupted and has ended up spinning the car again. As we see, I think Alex Smith has had a bit of an incident as well. Has lost out a couple of places to Luke Wiggins and Rob Whitney. Back to the front running battle, which you're going to left for a little bit there. Andrew Whitehead is still in front of Colin Kniff, but Colin is there merely half a second behind him, just under the rear wing of Andrew's car. Looking to capitalise on potentially any mistake Andrew will make. Looks like the change at nearing the back as Andrew Brammer managed to get past Alex Smith by the looks of it. So Alex Smith again losing out another place. Oh, it looks like there's a spin from Luke Wiggins, and there's more contacts at the front as unfortunately looks like Alex Smith I think couldn't get the car slowed down in time and ends up hitting Andrew Brammer. So I think possibly an avoidance of Luke that was parked at the side of the road trying to rejoin. Alex back down into 12th after a few issues. There's quite a battle. Looks like it's heating up between battle heating up for third. Base Paul Plant starting to come back now from the back of the grid. Currently nearly 50 seconds down from the leaders. Whitehead and Colin Kniff just running on ahead, 6 seconds ahead of John Billingsley in third place. John has his eyes at the front and the back of him at the moment, as we have Matt Daly and Tim Perry behind him. At the moment, starting to fall back a bit from John, so it looks like they will be battling for 4th place. Unless they can catch up to John, who looks like he'll be running quite a bit of a lighter car, maybe. So as we are approximately halfway through the first lap, I would imagine, but I could be wrong, as we could be anywhere on the circuit. And, we have currently the gap between Colin Kniff and Andrew Whitehead now 0.38 of a second as they head through the main corkscrew. Again, both opting for the inner line. So Colin Kniff lost out a little bit of time at that section of the circuit, so it could be something for Andrew to take advantage of, as Tim Perry manages to get past Matt Daly. Looks like coming out of the corkscrew for 4th place. Alan Matthews and Greg Young battling it out. Alan was trying to eye up an overtake coming out of the corkscrew, but not able to do it. The gap between Tim Perry and Matt Daly not a lot. And Rob Whitney's turned the car around. Fortunately, he was running close behind Luke Wiggins, and maybe there may have been contact there. Oh, and Greg Young is pointing the wrong way as well. So unfortunately, maybe Alan Matthews has wouldn't like to say that there was contact without seeing it. Greg Young looks like he's struggling to get that started again. Matt Daly has got past Tim Perry again on looks like one of the uphill sections of the Nürburgring. So people starting to find their strengths and weaknesses. Oh, it's very, very risky sort of maneuver there to try and get the car turned around from Greg Young. As unfortunately, Paul Plant again as the car's turned around and he's having to rejoin the circuit. Greg Young, again, the car's pointing the wrong way. Again, it seems to be once the... and he's actually going to get passed by Paul Plant as well. So Paul Plant now up into 12th position. Seems that once you've had your flow interrupted, that it's very difficult to get back on track for these cars. Once and again, Greg Young spinning the car around, managing to get going a bit quicker. Once the car's been interrupted, high temperatures have dropped in the time that you've been at the side of the circuit. The back wants to spin round again. You're angry that the maneuver has been done and you're eager to get going. It seems that once that chain of events has begun, it can be a bit difficult to get out of, and a few more errors are incurred from that. However, as we finish the first lap of the race, it is currently Andrew Whitehead in first position, but at the point of the start-finish straight, a mere 0.7 of a second behind him is Colin Neef. There is currently Alex Smith and Andrew Brammer side by side heading down the main straight. Paul Plant also looking like he's in the slipstream of Rob Whitney's car, about to try and take a maneuver. He moves to the side of his car. Also, as we see, Paul Plant has managed to get his maneuver done. Alex Smith has won out over Andrew Brammer as they negotiate the last set of corners. Andrew Whitehead, Colin Knief currently on the GP part of the circuit. So after the first lap, with a few people still to complete their first lap, we currently have Andrew Whitehead in first, Colin Knief in second, and Billingsley in third, Matt Daly in fourth, Tim Perry on his tail in fifth. A little way behind now, Alan Matthews in sixth, Guy Swarbrick up into seventh. So obviously consistency has so far paid off for Guy there. Luke Wiggins currently in eighth, but he has Alex Smith and Andrew Brammer breathing down his neck in ninth and 10th respectively. After a very fraught lap from Paul Plant, he is currently in 11th place, trying to gain any position he can. Rob Whitney in 12th, Greg Young in 13th, and Stephen Knight in 14th. Oh, it is looking like at the moment a two-horse race for the top spot of tonight's Hour Endurance. So at the moment, Andrew Whitehead in the commanding position in first place at the moment, but Colin Knief just dropping in behind him, and I'm sure just biding his time with 48 minutes now on the clock remaining. No need to make any drastic maneuvers at the moment. He's still very much in touch with Andrew. Will be piling on the pressure as much as he can. Just letting him know he's there. It looks like Colin Kniff may be slightly stronger in the first sector of the lap as he's brought the gap down to, well, I say 0.4 of a second, but he is right on the bumper of Andrew's car. With the slipstream from Andrew's car helping him along, Paul Plant has now managed to make it up into 10th position from Andrew Brammer. So we'll be trying to chase down Alex Smith and Luke Wiggins, who are currently battling for 8th position. Guy Swarbrick, 15 seconds up the road from them at the moment, is 7th. Andrew Whitehead and Colin Knief just running through corners, taking in the undulations of the Nürburgring. John Billingsley currently on his own at the moment, 15 seconds from the leader in 3rd. Matt Daly in 4th with Tim Perry on his tail, battling for 4th position. Oh, looks like the whole plant has managed to get... Looks like Luke Wiggins may have made an error there, or worse off from the battles. Alex Smith runs very wide in the mid-section of the circuits there, and has lost out to Paul Plant, and potentially lost out... no, he's managed to keep it in front of Luke Wiggins for the time being as they head over the bridge there and up the hill. Again, the back of the car kicking out there as they struggle to put the 500 horsepower down on the road. The Paul Plant winning out there, managing to get past two cars very, very quickly. And as we see, looks like there's been contact between Tim Perry and Matt Daly. Alex Smith again runs wide, and Luke is able to breeze past him. As Tim and Matt head through the corkscrew, going from the inside to the outside of the circuit. Matt was stationary roads where there was contact between the two. Guy Swarbrick running a bit wide there and hitting the barriers as we see. Oh no, Andrew Whitehead has made an error and hit the barriers, allowing Colin Kniff to move past him. As I think we're heading up to the latter stage of the track there. So we saw Andrew Whitehead in the barrier. Whether that was of his own error or contact, we do not know at this stage. But Andrew Whitehead now has lost first position and allowed Colin Kniff to escape now 6.5 seconds or so up the road. So I'm sure we'll be kicking himself whatever happened there. But with nearly a quarter of the race run, there is still a lot of time for it all to change. As we see, I think from previous races, Colin Kniff has been caught out before by pit stop strategies. As we see, the pit window is open. But they will all have to stop at least once for fuel. Alex Smith has now managed to get up past Luke Wiggins again, so maybe Luke has made a couple of errors as they've both fallen into the clutches of Andrew Brammer. Paul Plant now has to get as far up as the road. He's still on the lead lap, and I don't think he's what is he currently over 1 minute behind Colin Knief up the road, so still all to play for. As we see Colin now past the start finish straight. Andrew Brammer did briefly manage to get past Luke Wiggins, but ran wide, and Wiggins was able to reclaim this position, as I believe they're at a mini corkscrew. Alex Smith ran wide as well. Paul Plant now under the rear wing of Guy Swarbrick's car, so we'll be looking to try and get past as quickly as possible. You can see in the background that battle for 9th place, as they are now all down the main straightaway. Someone will be hoping for a good slipstream to get past the rest of them, but looks like maybe Wiggins will not be able to do it before the final few corners of the circuit, as Colin Kniff is now on his 2nd lap of the race. Andrew Whitehead now 8 seconds down the road in 2nd place. John Billingsley in 3rd position. Barry now in 4th. Matt Daly in 5th. Paul Plant now up beside Guy Swarbrick, and a very clean manoeuvre pulled off. Matt Daly in 5th, Alan Matthews in 6th, Paul Plant in 7th, Guy Swarbrick in 8th now, Alex Smith in 9th, Luke Wiggins on his tail in 10th, followed by Andrew Brammer. Rob Whitney now just past the first couple of corners after the start finish straight. Greg Young putting in his best lap of the night in 13th, and Stephen Knight down in 14th at the moment. Now back with the leader at the moment, putting in a very reliable pace and increasing the gap between him and Andrew in 2nd. It's 10 seconds now up the road from Drew. Guy Swarbrick has actually managed to get past Paul Plant by quite a gap now. So Paul had already made the move and was starting to eke out a gap from him, so he's made a mistake, and as you see, just makes another one there under braking, under the very twisty first part of the Nürburgring circuit. So getting caught out slightly by the brakes of the car there, and as we've seen, once you've lost your flow for the car in the circuits, it can be quite difficult to get going again. The gap for 9th is spread out a little bit at the moment between Alex Smith, Luke Wiggins and Andrew Brammer. Everyone trying their best to keep their concentration up. It's a lot of corners to remember in these cars. One put in a very, very good pace. The job made to look easy by Colin Kniff, currently in 1st place on the race. 11.5 seconds ahead of Andrew Whitehead in second. And 30 seconds up the road from John Billingsley in third. So nothing drastic from John Billingsley, but he can maintain his current pace and position and keep himself out of trouble. He's looking good for a third place on the podium. As we see Andrew Brammer spinning away at one of the tight left-handers of the Nürburgring. So just get the car going again. So unfortunately has dropped away from the battle to 9th, but as we see Alex Smith also run wide, he'll be desperately trying to get the car back on track, as Luke Wiggins is now going to be breathing down Alex's neck fairly soon with the pace that he has. Paul Plant managed to catch back up to Guy Swarbrick and get the manoeuvre done again. Battle for 9th now between Alex Smith and Luke Wiggins. As again they both run wide. Luke Wiggins running wider, able to catch up to Alex as of yet, and has lost out some time. So everyone beginning to settle into their pace. The moment with over a third of the race played out. But the trick will be to keep up concentration and that steady pace. Such a complex circuit for the entire hour. The gap now 14 seconds between Colin Kniff and Andrew Whitehead. And Billingsley still in a very respectful third position at the moment. Haven't seen anyone go for their pit stops yet, but being such a long way round till the pits, it'd be interesting to see whether this is the lap people will be going for there. It's not. Swarbrick just running a little bit wide at the carousel there, as Luke Wiggins runs a little bit wide off the circuit behind Alex Smith as they themselves go through the corkscrew left-hander. Carousel left-hander, excuse me. Corkscrew is in America, not in Germany. As we see Andrew Brammer's line opting to stick the entire way round the inside of the circuit, as well as Rob Whitney, whereas a few of the other drivers have opted to make more of a wider line. Now, as we see Colin Kniff negotiating the final corners of the Nürburgring Endurance, and we'll go for another lap before needing a pit stop. As does Drew Whitehead as well. At the lower end of the grid, Rob Whitney's managed to get past Andrew Brammer. Potentially Andrew, I think, may have made a mistake. Greg Young again seems to be struggling this evening with the combination of the 8th seat and Nürburgring, and is currently down in 13th position. The necessarily position we've seen him in before. Blinking if then, a very striking black and white car. Just running through the OP Oils black and white car, just running through the corners of the GP circuit. Andrew Whitehead currently 15 seconds down the road and ever dropping further back. Gap looks like it's stabilised a little bit. Billingsley currently in third. Gap between Tim Perry and Matt Daly has come down. Paul Plant is the first to take to pit road. So we see Paul Plant go for his mandatory pit stop. As we see the gap coming down between Tim Perry and Matt Daly. Matt Daly now nearly on the back of Tim's car. Paul Plant just exiting pit road behind Alex Smith. Like, maybe trying to get past him as soon as possible. Paul's car may be heavier with the additional fuel. He will potentially be on fresher tyres. I think these can be quite hard wearing on the tyres they have, so Paul Plant should be on fresher tyres. Luke Wiggins has now taken to pit road. Daly just over a second behind Tim Perry, and the gap ever decreasing as they have now transitioned onto the main part of the Nürburgring. Just feeding the cars through the beginning twisty section of the circuit. .500 horsepower to try and wrangle into place. As we see, Paul Plant has made the manoeuvre on Alex Smith in similar places before by the final chicane of the GP circuit. Able to get round without any issues. Alex Smith trying to come back at him. Kept it as close as he can to Paul Plant's car, but just loses out through the fast flowing sections of the Nürburgring and is beginning to drop back quite quickly now. Matt Daly quite on the back of Tim Perry's car now. Hoping to get the manoeuvre done as quickly as possible and try and potentially chase down John Billingsley. Andrew Bramrack currently behind Rob Whitney, will be again on fresh tyres. Guy Swarbrick doing a great job in 7th place at the moment. Kept himself fairly out of trouble. As we see Tim Perry take a very wide line, took a heavy hit to the on the curbstones, sent the car into the outside barriers. As I've said before, damage is off, so didn't take any damage and was able to continue on very, very quickly, but lost out the place to Matt Daly, who was able to take full advantage of that, but himself runs wide at the bridge there. And loses out 4th place back to Tim Perry. So we'll have it all to do again. Took advantage of Tim's mistake, but then wasn't able to disappear off the road. Has lost out a fair bit of time at the moment. Has it all to do again. Alex Smith unfortunately running wide. Again hitting the barriers. Will lose time out to Paul Plant. But is able to continue I'm not that far behind Guy Swarbrick. As I suspect we will see another round of pit stops. End of this lap. Just over half the race done and dusted. It looks like it will be a one stop for all of the competitors. Stephen Knight fortunately just losing it on the final portion of the circuit. Continues for another lap. Colin Kniff, one of the drivers, still yet to make a mandatory pit stop yet. Still plenty of time to do so. 16.5 seconds down the road now. Andrew Whitehead in second. John Billingsley currently in third place. Tim Perry back up into fourth. Trying to get away as much as he can from Matt Daly in fifth. Matthews in clear air at the moment in sixth. Goes Warwick in seventh with Paul Plant. Catch up as much as he can. Alex Smith in ninth. Rob Whitney in 10th. Andrew Bradman in 11th. Quiggins in 12th. Greg Young in 13th position. And Stephen Knight 14th position. Join Colin as he heads down the main straightaway of the circuit. With his foot planted on the throttle, and won't have much to do for the next few seconds until he gets to the end of the straight. Looks for his braking zone. You are very much passenger down the main straightaway. Very brave overtaking maneuvers can be done here, but Colin Kniff doing an excellent job at keeping people well away from him. Looks like we have a change for fourth as Matt Daly has managed to get past Tim Perry. Him now 3 seconds behind Matt, so whatever Matt managed to do, got the job done. Colin Kniff going down the start-finish straight, not going to his pit box quite yet. But we see Andrew Whitehead take to pit road to complete his mandatory stop. Luke Wiggins unfortunately pointing in the wrong direction, and Greg Young actually DNFing now, has retired from the race. So opting not to finish, which is a great shame that he not able to see him through to the end. Andrew Whitehead now exiting pit road, so we're hoping that fresher tyres and fueled up to the end of the race will help him along in his efforts. John Billingsley also in his pit box. Matt Daly and Tim Perry also opting for their mandatory pits as well. So we will so there will be a few changes to the order. Alan Matthews is now up into as we see Luke Wiggins run a bit wide there, so Alan Matthews now up into fourth place at the moment, behind John Billingsley, who is yet John Billingsley has pit, excuse me, but Alan Matthews has not. So that puts Matt Daly potentially relatively close to John Billingsley on the circuit. So John just has to continue with keeping his race nice and clean. Hopefully without being bothered too much by Alan Matthews, and that would put him in a very promising position for the end of the race. Just over 23 minutes remaining. Colin Kniff there keeping the car very, very smooth driving on the track as we see like Smith and Guy Swarbrick go for their mandatory stops. Alex Smith still in the pits and Guy Swarbrick maintaining his 8th position on the track. Luke Wiggins unfortunately seems to be struggling quite a bit now at the latter end of his lap. We're currently in 12th position and struggling massively to keep the car in the right direction. So it seems that his tyres may have been completely degraded now to this point. So I suspect he will be taking his pit stop at the end of his lap now. Stephen Knight now reclaiming 11th place away from Greg Young. That one lap 4 currently with just over a third of the race to run. Colin Kniff in first place. As we see beg your pardon, Matt Daly currently turned around the wrong way. So it looks like again his battle with Tim Perry will continue as Tim now catches up to the back of Matt's car. Can he get enough momentum to get a maneuver done? He's under the back wing of Matt's car. Tim can now see 4th place in front of him, but doesn't have the momentum to get the job done as of yet. So it looks like Matt has just managed to get away with that error. That sharp left-hander catching out a lot of people. It creeps up on you very, very quickly. Window only open up for another 5 or so minutes. Looks like Colin will have to take his mandatory stop at the end of this lap or face consequences. Currently now 45 seconds down the road as Andrew has completed his mandatory stop. So I suspect the gap may be roughly about 20 or so seconds after Colin completes his stop. Alan Matthews also needs to complete his as well, so he'll be trying to get as much of a gap as he can. Matt Daly's error will also set him back a bit, so it'll be interesting to see where Mr. Matthews emerges after his pit. John Bingsley has managed to get away 6 seconds up the road from Alan Matthews, so again putting in a very, very consistent pace, put him in a very good position. At the corkscrew, Matt Daly and Tim Perry now side by side. Not a usual overtaking maneuver, but it was definitely brave to try, but not able to get the job done. Tim Perry falls back behind Matt's car. It looks like Matt has slowed quite considerably during this mid-section of the circuit. Tim is showing great strength during the sweeping corners. Whether he can again get the maneuver done or not. Very close between the two for 4th position. As will we see Colin take to pit road? We do. So the leader comes in for his mandatory pit stop with 2 minutes left for pit window. So where does that put Andrew Whitehead? He is currently down the main straight. Tim Perry has fallen behind. Has dropped back behind Matthews a little at the moment. So Colin Knief has finished his stop, emerges from pit road and is just at the end of the start-finish straight as Andrew Whitehead just begins. Run down the start-finish straight. Currently the gap between the two is now just about 16 seconds. So not impossible to make up, but Colin will be on fresher tyres. Maybe not much as well. They'll both have enough fuel to get to the end of the circuit, but Colin may have taken on less fuel in this instance. John Billingsley in 3rd. Just on the start finish straight. Alan Matthews will have to take his stop now, as he does. So where that puts him will be quite interesting, as Matt Daly actually has already had his pit stop, but Tim Perry has not. So Tim may have to have... Tim does not take his pit stop either. So Alan Matthews now in taking his pit has now dropped down to 6th position and will lose out another place to Paul Plant. So Paul doing a fantastic job to get back up the order and is now up into 6th position. So between the two front runners is about 16 seconds, and then John Billingsley in 3rd, a whole minute behind Colin Knief. So the battle will continue between Matt Daly and Tim Perry. So Stephen Knight now taking to pit road. I suspect he would have managed to get in just in time to do his mandatory stop. I think my counter is meant to show me who has done a stop and who hasn't, but potentially doesn't manage to do that quite reliably. So I suspect everyone has had their stops as they're meant to. So currently on lap 5 with just under a quarter of the race left to run. Colin Knief in 1st place, Andrew Whitehead in 2nd, with the gap increasing now to 17 seconds. So Colin Knief showing fantastic pace concentration and ability to get around the Nürburgring in the 500 horsepower 8C, and is looking good for the top spot on the podium. As I said, Andrew Whitehead now 17 seconds down is second. John Billingsley currently in third. Again, very good performance from him to maintain that position from the start of the race. The battle for fourth between Matt Daly and Tim Perry. Around about a second between the two cars. As we're, I believe, entering the midsection of the circuit. As it looks like Alex Smith has managed to get a maneuver done on Guy Swarbrick for 8th position. And there's potentially also a battle between Rob Whitney and Andrew Brammer brewing at the moment. Stephen Knight's still in the pit lane. So it doesn't say that he has been disqualified. But that's a long time to be in the pits. The gap between Andrew Brammer and Rob Whitney has closed dramatically now, as they negotiate the final chicane of the GP part of the circuit. Take the left-hander onto the main circuit there. Swarbrick running in ninth, doing a very good job. Paul Plant now getting past oh no, there's contact between Paul Plant and Alan Matthews. Paul Plant just gets turned around by Alan on the inside of his car, but the positions are maintained. Bit of having going on between the two. Paul Plant will be trying to get away from Alan as much as he can. It's up to the battle between Tim and Matt. As again, Tim shows his strength in the mid part of the circuit and is right behind Matt's car there. Greg Young back. So Greg Young actually was a DNF for a long time. It looks like he may have had server issues, but is now back with us at the moment. Stephen Knight still in the pits. Luke Wiggins, unfortunately, has turned around. Just gets the car going on the circuit aptly named Green Hell, causing all sorts of problems for some of the drivers. So the gap between everyone else, the top three positions remain unchanged. We're running around very steadily. Again, Tim Perry goes for the maneuver on Matt Daly on the inside of the corkscrew, but again, he's not quite able to get the run out of the corner. Paul Plant will be hoping that they can occupy themselves in front of him, as Paul Plant just manages to get, as gets through the carousel. Nearly did it again there, but we didn't. We avoided that. A very exciting battle between Tim Perry and Matt Daly. So we see Andrew Brammer has managed to get past Bob Whitney. It looks like there may be server issues again, as we've lost Stephen Knight and Greg Young again. So the gap between Matt Daly and Tim Perry around about a second and a half, as it looks like Guy Swarbrick has managed to get past Alex Smith. I think Alex may have made a grave error there, and Guy has managed to get back up into 8th position, as Colin Kinneaf is on the GB part of the circuit now, so just starting his sixth lap of the race. Andrew Whitehead doing a very good job to get the gap down to 14 seconds now. John Billingsley just starting his 6th lap as well in 3rd position, as we see Matt Daly and Tim Perry do the same down the start-finish straight. So Tim Perry falling further behind. Matt doing a very good job of just keeping Tim at bay. I mentioned to get very close there under the braking of the first corner. Him trying to put as much pressure as he can on that race performance. Plant doing his very best to catch up to the 2 cars in front. So Paul having done a very good job to get from essentially the back of the grid all the way back up into 6th. And Matthews now in 7th. Warbrick in 8th, and a fair way up the road from Alex Smith in 9th. Brammer with a good view of the castle there up in 10th. Bob Whitney in 11th and Luke Wiggins in 12th. And our 2 DNS by looks of it, Stephen Knight and Greg Young. Oh no, Colin has made an error. We've seen an uncharacteristic error from Colin there. And was pointing the wrong way, but gets the car started. And that has allowed Andrew Whitehead to close the gap very considerably. Andrew not able to actually see Colin up the road yet. So he may have missed that Colin has made an error. But the gap now down to 7 seconds. I think if Andrew Whitehead... There we go. Andrew Whitehead may have just seen Colin's car just appear in front of him in the... up the road there. So he would have known that Colin has made a slight error. So Colin has managed to get away with it at the moment with such a large amount of time in hand. But a very uncharacteristic mistake. Colin, after such a incredible performance to increase the gap to what he managed to achieve. Unfortunately, Andrew Whitehead may not necessarily have a response to that as the gap is starting to increase again. But a mere 7 seconds, that's not as comfortable margin that Colin had before. With 3 minutes left to go, all Colin has to do is just maintain his pace to clinch his position. But potentially one more error may cost him that to Andrew Whitehead. John Billingsley doing a very good job in 3rd place at the moment. The gap still between Daly and Tim Perry now around about a second. So will we see, with 3 minutes on the clock, I think we're... Oh, Paul Plant has turned around, unfortunately. That's another mistake from him. It looks like Alan Matthews is now run wide as well. Can he get past Paul for 6th place? They're side by side as Alan tries to get past him, and he does manage to do so. So a small error from Paul there sent him round and pointing the wrong way. Lost out 6th place to Alan Matthews. So could this be the last lap of the race? I think with 2 minutes left on the clock, I don't think we have an extra lap from the leader. I think once the clock counts down, that is when the checkered flag will be waved. So can Colin get to the start finish straight before? Goes forward, but running very wide there. Alex looks like he's not close enough to capitalise on that. But the gap between Paul Plant and Alan Matthews is down to mere tenths of a second now, as Paul Plant will be kicking himself and trying to regain that position from Alan Matthews. Gap between Matt Daly and Tim Perry has evened out, as Tim has not been able to come back at Matt during the midsection of the course. Paul is looking for an outside manoeuvre and manages to get the job done very, very cleanly and regains 6th place from Alan Matthews. Very, very brave manoeuvre. It looks like, no, I was mistaken. Tim Perry has got past Matt Daly at the carousel. So a manoeuvre that Tim Perry was eyeing up multiple times in the closing stages of this 1 hour endurance race, is able to get the job done very, very well. And it looks... No, we have not gone past the start finish straight yet. So it looks like with less than a minute to go on the clock, as we see Colin Kniff now on the long straightaway heading to the end of the circuit. Andrew Whitehead, like 9 seconds down the road, but it doesn't look quite so far from this perspective. Will we get another lap? It's going to be close. It's going to be very close whether we've got another lap to go. As Colin Kniff just negotiates the final couple of corners. Is he going to back off? I don't know whether he backed off, but that was very, very close indeed. But the checkered flag is waved on lap 6. And Colin Kniff takes said checkered flag and takes 1st place. After a very, very difficult endurance race, I'm sure everyone will agree. Andrew Whitehead, 9 seconds down the road after a very strong performance at the beginning of the lap. Up into 1st for a portion of it. Now it takes 2nd place. Well done to the both of them. John Billingsley, over a minute down the road, but kept his race very, very clean. From my perspective, didn't make any errors at all. Didn't overdrive himself at all, so was able to put in a very, very consistent pace. And looks like once he gets round the final couple of corners, we'll take the final place on the podium. So the gap between... So in the excitement of whether we would get another lap or not, Matt Daly, it looks like Tim Perry may have made another grave error, and Matt Daly was able to get past him and way up the road now to take that 4th position goes to Matt Daly. Tim Perry settling for 5th position. Full Plant negotiating the final corners now. Will have to settle for 6th after a very, very fraught start of the race for him. Alan Matthews now takes 7th. Guy Swarbrick currently in 8th position. Alex Smith has made a spin and is just gets the car going, but is quite far up the road, so Andrew Brammer is not nowhere near him at this point. Guy Swarbrick currently now on the main straightaway. Soon be past the start finish straight to take 8th position. Looks like everyone is in their steady pace as the timer has been, the pin has been pulled. It looks of it, maybe. Yep, the pin has been pulled on the race, but we do have our final order. Guy Swarbrick in 8th, Alex Smith in 9th, Andrew Brammer in 10th, Rob Whitney in 11th, Luke Wiggins in 12th, Stephen Knight in 13th, and Greg Young in 14th, with the final 2 being DNFs. So, now I have to just tweak with my audio settings. Let's get that. And if I press this, I do press this magic button and then change my settings. Bear with me. Should now have my push to talk button set correctly, and we should be joined by Andrew Whitehead, who takes the 2nd place. And can't hear him.
Now then, how are you?
Hello, hello. How are you? Hello, how are you?
Yeah, all good, all good.
You're good. How was that then?
Oh, frustrating.
It did look. It did. It was a very strong beginning to the race, wasn't it? Getting past Colin and maintaining about a second in front of him for a majority of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, my plan was to get ahead and hold him up because he's quicker than me around here. So as I knew that as long as I could stay in front of him, I was okay, and worked out in that first lap that sort of 0.6 of a second into the long straight at the end of the lap was enough that he wouldn't be able to get any draft. So all I had to do was keep it clean, and I messed that bit up. So I knew I didn't have to defend too hard because he's a gentleman racer, and I know he wasn't going to push it. So yeah, just my own silly mistake, really.
Then once he managed to get past, that was pretty much it. The gap just kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I was kind of pleased to set several purple sectors on lap 5, but of course then he destroyed them again as soon as he's got his fresh tyres. So, it was a brilliant race. I mean, I'm actually quite pleased to have finished within 10 seconds of him at the end.
Could you see him at the end of the straight?
Oh, well. I mean, the thing is, we were both carrying such a lot of ballast, so we don't get the speed on the straights.
You were both quite heavy for this race, weren't you?
Sorry?
You were both quite heavy with ballast for this race, weren't you?
Oh yeah. Thankfully, he's going to be heavy next week, so that'll be better for me.
You can get your own back on him.
Yeah. No, I mean it was great. I mean I kind of apologise to your viewers really, because at least while I was holding him up, we had what was looking like going to be a battle, but yeah, as soon as he'd got past, all I could do was wish bad luck on him and hope that he might crash as well, so that we could even ourselves back out. But
that's racing at the end of the day. It never goes to plan, does it?
Exactly.
So how was the concentration levels for that? Because this track being several times longer than any other sort of endurance circuit there is, does that play into it quite a lot when going around?
I don't know, because I think so many of us in this world consider that our sort of utopia. So I mean, Colin and I have done probably hundreds, if not getting into the 1,000 laps around here. So it just becomes like a country drive in your car. You memorize the road, and that's that. It's just a case of getting used to the feel of each particular car. But no, it was. I guess I think I had a little bit of a glitch with a couple of frozen frames just into a braking area, which kind of upset my balance a little bit. But other than that, it's a nice little ride in the German countryside.
Good. And I think we have been joined by the race winner now, Colin. How are you?
It's hot and sweaty.
Paints a great picture there.
Yeah.
Did you? How did you find that? Was that tricky trying to get the fastest pace in, or how was that for you?
Really good. I mean, it was coming through from losing the lead at the start was a bit of a disappointment, but I knew Ted had the pace to keep up. The ideal one was to go for 8 laps, but I missed it by 9/10 at the end. But overall, the race was pretty good. As Ted was saying before, it's once you get into the groove around here, everything is it just clicks, and you just don't even realise that you're racing. You're just in the zone, and it just feels like you're out just driving normally. But then when you get into a braking zone and you get a half-second glitch in the screen, and you go flying through the air and barrier and everything like that, then it certainly brings you back, and you lose your momentum, and you have to pick up again. So I don't know if you picked that up, but yeah, there was a couple incidents where I had a few problems where things were looking a bit iffy, so it kept me awake anyway.
Kept you on your toes. I think the only major one that I managed to catch was the one right at the end, where you lost, I think, about 7 or 8 seconds, and your buffer came down quite a bit. Was that a worry for you? Did you think you were going to get caught by that point?
Absolutely, yeah. As soon as that went and I was in the gravel, I wasn't sure if I was going to get out quick enough, so I was looking up the hill to see if Ted was on his way down, and because you never know quite how close that they are with the relative on your screen, so I was looking up to see if I was going to get in his way or anything like that, but thankfully I managed to get out, and it was after that I just had to see if I could see him in my mirror, but thankfully it was just enough of a gap to keep ahead.
Could we just agree on that one, that you didn't lose 7 seconds, but I gained it?
I think if it makes you feel better, but the pictures don't lie. Oh dear.
Abject failure though, Colin. Not getting across the line for the 8th lap.
9/10.
It was very close, wasn't it?
1 hour and 9/10.
But in the end, worked out perfectly. So.
Yeah, we were chatting earlier, and that was the target. Really, was to try and get to 8 laps just to prove it could be done. But to be so close is disappointing.
Well, it was a fantastic race to watch for everyone involved. Not everyone had the race that they planned, and I think, Greg, do you have anything to add to that from your race, or?
No, that was an absolute disaster.
It was quite a shame because we've seen you like up with the front runners battling away, and to lose you sort of at various points of the race was a great shame.
Lost connection, and I was the only one. Apparently there's a few glitches, but I'm the one that lost connection.
No, it seems. I mean, we didn't quite see quite so many. I think once that may explain a few people. Like once you started hitting the barriers, it was a little bit difficult to get going again, but potentially that was because of glitches as well in the system. There are the challenge you have to deal with, fortunately, with computers and things like that. But yeah, thank you very much for your inputs, gentlemen, and Yes, we'll do it all again next week.
If I were you, Greg, I'd vote for a rerun because of the glitch.
I'm alright.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was thinking. I was just a couple of times this week. I just came on just to drive the car because it's so fun round here. I would drive any car around here. It's just so mad. So I would quite happily do this again.
Well, we shall see to it. So that brings us to the end of tonight's stream. Very well done to everyone getting round. Quite an exciting race to watch as well. I do like the endurance races. I mean, sprint races, you know, are good as well. They have their place. Endurance round, you've got more tactics involved, trying to get the car actually around. It shows you that you know, what drivers can really apply themselves for such a long time. So yes, that'll be the end of the stream, and we'll do it again all next week as we will. And yeah, I thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see you then.